Hey guys, what up? It's your boy Con TDK, Mr. So Real, and today it's time for a real talk. Now, I usually don't do this every week or anything like that. I try to do these when I feel there's a need for it. Um, and it seems that there is quite a bit of talk about the division being too easy. And I felt like it had to be done. We have to have a real talk about this situation because it seems to have created a kind of civil war between the community of the division where some people agree, some people disagree, some people see the point, some people don't, and a lot of people are just kind of confused. So it's time to have a real talk about this, man. Let's go. All right, so first of all, let's talk about what is going on. What is this topic? The topic is that people are saying that the game is too easy, they're getting too much loot, and there's not really much of a challenge. The game is boring, and this is not going to work. So, okay. First of all, let's talk about what's wrong. So, what's wrong is that enemies die and we get loot. We get lots of loot. Enemies die really fast. And my question to that statement is, isn't that what you wanted? It really shocks me and boggles my mind that people will complain about I'm dying too fast. The NPCs are OP. Shotgunners need to be nerfed. I can't get the loot I need. Okay, all of those things have been on the front page of every newspaper related to the division sucking. These are the reasons why the game is not fun and it sucks. It's because the NPCs are too OP, people are not getting loot. It's just So what did the developers and what did Ubisoft decide to do? They decided to make the game easier and give you tons of loot so you would shut up. And now they've done that. And here we go. People who have grinded the game and played the game and gotten all kinds of stuff and put up with all of the negative things with the game. And now they're saying, well, it's too easy and you don't even have to have a great build to do this. You can just willy-nilly throw something together and the game is too easy. Where's the challenge? This is what they say. Where's the challenge? This is too easy. Well, if you're talking about challenges and you really want to know about challenges, the game has to have something in it that requires you to be skillful. You have to have some kind of skill that you can get better at to pose a challenge to you. And my next question to that is, where is this thing that requires so much skill to be good at the game? The game is basically, from the beginning, been all about RNG. It's all been about loot. And this is one of the reasons why I have been so disappointed with the game, is because I can play the game for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I've played over 1,000 hours of the game. And I realized that I could die in the dark zone via PvP or PvE to something, even though I grind it so hard. And what made PvP a huge turnoff for me personally was that the game was basically about RNG. Somebody could play for, I don't know, 100 hours, 200 hours, and get God roll gear off of RNG. I could play for 500 hours, 600 hours, 1,000 hours, and still get crap gear. And guess what? I get bodied every time. Now you might say, okay, Khan, you need to get good. Well, get good at what? Get good at rolling? Get good at not having a gun that doesn't do as much damage as somebody else? What do I need to get good at? The problem with the game has been it's centered around loot and it's centered around RNG. Now, them throwing RNG pretty much out of the window by giving you a whole bunch of stuff is one way to fix that problem. But can't have that. It's too much loot. It's just too much. And the question comes back to, what is it exactly that you want? What do you want from this game? You want to make it so that people can have loot and make the build that they want and be strong and feel powerful, but not that much. It's just too easy. People have been suffering and complaining about the game, and thousands of people have stopped playing the game because of the entry level being too high. Being that everything was based off of RNG and they couldn't get what they wanted. They got frustrated. They got bodied. And they spent their hard-earned money like everybody else, but their experience was totally different. This is what's wrong. The game is based too much off of RNG. And it's centered too much around builds. And that's kind of what the game is about. Like, when you really stop and think about it. And I really want you to stop and think about it. What exactly is this game centered around? What is it about? Is it about amazing gunplay? Is it about dynamic movement? Is it about taking cover, hunkering down, and having an all-out battle? What is the game really about? I'll tell you what the game is about. It's about loot. And it's about builds. It's all about loot and builds. See, you have to get the loot to make the builds. Now, if we talk about something that I personally have been really trying to hammer home with a lot of people, is that there's no variety in the combat of the game. Think about it. What do? You shoot enemies in the head. The only thing that's really actually somewhat diverse is that you have the seeker mine. It does some smoke, maybe blows up. You got the sticky bomb. That blows things up every now and then. And grenades don't really do that. Nah. Shoot it in the head. Got an LMG, shoot it in the head. SMG, shoot it in the head. Sniper rifle, shoot it in the head. Assault rifle, shoot it in the head. Pistol, shoot it in the head. Shotgun, shoot it in the head. There are no bonuses to a varied amount of combat. There are no bonuses. There's nothing really that happens if you don't shoot something in the head besides missing. Then nothing happens. People have always asked me, and people have been kind of like saying, Khan, why don't you make videos about the kind of game that you want? Why aren't you talking about different builds and the stuff you want to see in the division so that the developers can start to go more to what, because people don't, they're not trying to hear what I'm talking about. And I really doubt that the developers would put most of that stuff in the game anyway. So if you want a taste of what I would like to see in the game, what I would like to see in the game is you shoot an enemy in the legs, he slows down. Imagine you have some rushers with shotguns or the axe and they're running at you, or they're running at your friend and your friend doesn't see it. You can call it out over the mic. Hey, you got a rusher behind you. You shoot him in the legs to slow him down. Your friend turns around, blah, 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 blah. You team shoot him and boom, he's gone. That's cool. That's dynamic. That's fun. Any weapon, if you pepper an enemy, shoot him in the chest, maybe his armor goes down faster than maybe his head. Maybe he staggers after a certain amount of damage to his armor. Something different, something dynamic, something fun. I don't hear many people talking about stuff like this. Should I be talking about it more? You tell me. I've got a whole list of stuff. I think I've got so much crap in this room. But I've got seriously, I've got pages of stuff that I've outlined and detailed and really thought about. But it seems like the sway of what people are talking about and what they want are just centered around loot. And I'm not sure if that's because other major players are talking about just loot. I want this gun, I wish I had this chest piece, or I wish I had this gear set. I don't really know if that's why people are only talking about that, but I'm really concerned. Why aren't people talking about varied combat? Why is this game only centrally focused on loot and builds? Now don't get me wrong. If you want to make builds and have your army of characters that make builds, that's great. This is obviously the game for you. But for me personally, I'd like to see more variety with the builds, because let's be honest, if you make 30 builds, let's say you make 5 builds, right? You make 5 different builds that are all very, very different and they all act a different way, but you're still killing the enemy in the exact same manner. What's the point of making another build? I still gotta shoot that dude in the head. What's dynamic about this? Sometimes I feel like, like I shouldn't make these videos, because I seriously get genuinely invested. I'm really talking from the heart right now, and this is, it's kind of sad, because the game has become easy for a reason. It's become easy because people like you wanted the game to be easy. And if the game is about loot, killing things quickly, getting lots of loot helps you to make more builds because you get the loot. What's wrong with that? If people are saying where's the challenge and all this, think about it this way. If you've spent 50 hours, and that's not even a lot, if you've spent 50 hours playing this game and you don't feel like a badass with your character and your build, something's wrong. If you're at the end game, the end of the road, you're getting the best of the best and you're creating the best of the best. If you've gone through every mission and you've done the incursions and you've done all of these weekly and daily challenges and you've bested people in PvP and you've spent so much time and devoted so much into the game, and you still don't feel like a badass, you don't feel like your character just wrecks shop, destroys everything. If you don't get that feeling, that gratification, that satisfaction, what's the point? Like, I mean, real talk. Video games, you're playing video games to be another character, to be someone that you're not. Most of us will not fight waves and waves of dudes and shoot them in the face and take about 30, 40, 50 bullets before we decide to take cover. That shit ain't gonna happen. So you're living in this RPG. It's a fantasy. You should feel like a badass. You've got these special skills and talents and all this stuff. You should be awesome. And to have gone through the nightmare of 1.3 and struggled to make a decent build, if you made a decent build, if you didn't give up, if you're one of the people that didn't give up, right? I'm talking to you now. If you were one of those people that didn't give up, you fought hard, you made a build, you went into the dark zone with just you and one other friend, with a buddy, or even by yourself, and you grinded through all of that, and you finally made a build, don't you want to have that awesome feeling? Doesn't all of that hard work and all of those hours you spent, shouldn't that turn into something that makes you feel good about what you've done? Not to just be average. This game is about builds. You get the loot, you kill the enemies, you make the build. Now some people are saying the end game is PvP. And if that's the case, then so be it. Then it's really about builds, which is clearly what the developers want, because that's all they talk about. They talk about weapon balancing for what? Usually PvP. Or generically PvE. But if you really think about it, it's mostly for PvP, because certain weapons... When you had the shotgun debacle, Century shotgun, right? Kind of the current meta for 1.3. It was because people were dying too fast in the dark zone. You couldn't do that in PvE, right? So what it seems like is the game is really focused on gear, making builds, and eventually moving towards PvP. Now, not a lot of people want the game to go in that direction, and they want more PvE focused content for the end game. And I don't blame them. I like PvE. I think the world that Massive have made, and please don't get me wrong and say, Khan, you just coming in and you're talking all this crap. I loved, I'm going to put an ED on this, The Division when I first started playing it. When I first started playing it for the first couple of months, I thought this game is beautiful. These enemies are crazy new. This is exciting. I've got all of these weapons. I've got this stuff I can think about. I can make this and I can build this and I can do this and add that, and oh man, this is gonna be cool. And I can make what I want. I can fight these enemies how I want from level 1 to 30. Now, I've cleared the game and got through to level 30 in probably 2 days. About 2 days. I played it kind of hard. 2 to 3 days. And then everything else after that was in-game stuff. And I still liked the game. I still tried to do a lot of stuff. And me and the guys that I played with, like Paul and Purdy and Tim, Shout outs to those guys. What's going on? We banged our head against Falcon Lost for the longest time, and we did not get it done. But we didn't really get anything, and like, realizing that the game is about builds, and having a strong build is the only way that you can actually enjoy a lot of the in-game content, for some is very frustrating. And I can totally see that. But my question for you is, if you're a PvE player making all of these builds, how does that really change your experience for in-game content? Because let's be really real, the incursions are garbage. They're not very involved. The mechanics are kind of lame, and the bosses, 2 words, fire truck. I want to see more variety in the end game, especially for PvE content. For PvP, there's a lot of things that need to be reworked. I think a lot of the mechanics for the fighting need to change. If you haven't seen any of my other videos about how to make the Division fun, please do. I know that those videos haven't gotten a lot of views, and they're quite old. I was talking about changing up some things in the Division to make it better back in June, around my birthday. Got a lot of feedback. Those videos were very popular for the people who saw them because they saw the potential. And that goes back to like what a lot of people said when they thought about the Division, was it's got a lot of potential. And it does. If you're one of the people that are saying, you know, giving people all of this loot and making the game easy is bad and it's gonna make the game boring. No, the game is boring. Giving people loot, giving people more of what they want doesn't make the game boring. It just exposes the lack of variety that is actually in the game. Picture this. When I played and when I reviewed the Underground, I think I mentioned this. I'm not sure. That was a while ago, but I think I said the Underground was a missed opportunity. And the reason it was a missed opportunity was because there are no leaderboards. There are no modifiers that affect gameplay. A couple. Like the reload one, kind of. That mini-map one, not so much. But think about it like this. What if in the Underground, a very controlled environment, they decided to go completely left field, off the rails, and say, you know what, we're going to make this like an arcade type shooter. We're going to have leaderboards. We're going to give you bonuses for using certain weapons. We're going to have weekly modifiers that give you more points for doing A, B, and C. You'll have, I don't know, environmental damage that will give you extra bonuses or something. And then at the end of all of that, you get an awesome set of rewards that is specific to that kind of challenge that could be used for whatever. Maybe PvP, maybe PvE, whatever. But something very unique and kind of centered along those lines of doing the Underground. Then the Underground would be fun. Get, I don't know, get 200 headshots, headshot kills this week. Shotguns do double damage or triple damage. LMGs do double damage or triple damage. Predator's Mark bleed last 5 seconds longer. Or even do something with some of the gear sets that aren't very popular. If you catch a grenade with Lone Star, and as it diffuses, it blows up across the entire map. Something crazy. I can come up with these ideas all day long. But none of them are making it into the game. The only thing people are talking about is loot. And the only thing I want to talk about is making the game fun. So if people want to talk about the game is easy, this is bad for the game, this is going to make things boring and it's not going to make it fun, my answer, the game is boring because it lacks variety. I really want you guys to understand and look at this honestly. If the game had more variety, more ways to combat the enemy, cool things that you can do that makes you feel like a badass, and you do some cool stuff and say, man, the Division has this. I can do this in the Division because it's awesome. People would find it fun. You would find it fun because it has those moments that only the Division can bring. That's why so many people like Battlefield. It has Battlefield moments. The most of the moments that people kind of talk about when they talk about the Division is getting one shot with a shotgun. Spending 4 clips of assault rifle ammo into some dude's head and he's still not dead. I want the game to be great and I want the game to be fun. Now you may think that I'm ragging on the game and I'm talking garbage, but really and truly all of this is coming from the heart because I am one of those people that saw the potential of the game. I am one of those people that stood by the game, defended the game, talked good about the game, and asked people to come on over and give the game a try way back. But now I've kind of become one of those people that's a little bit jaded and worried about what the community is pushing and forcing the developers to do that may or may not be in their vision. If you're at Massive and you work there and you're watching this video, make the game that you want to make that's fun. Please, please consider more variety in the combat. Switch things up. Make it crazy. Make something where people can go just to like not even think about it, have fun, just be completely off the wall and enjoy themselves. If they can do that with the best gear or not even the best gear, just to have fun, people will enjoy the game. And then look at the stats. And then figure out, is this something that really helps the game or not? And then you can make the decision. Again, currently, the game is about builds. I don't see a problem with people getting tons of loot to make builds, to do whatever it is that they want to do, and to enjoy and experiment with those builds. As it stands, if I make the enemies just tough enemies, if I make them harder, and if they are harder, I have to use a DPS build, which is how 1.3 is now. And you're focused on only certain builds. Yannick said it itself. Only certain builds are viable. By removing that amount of difficulty and letting people just enjoy the game and play the game how they want, make as many random crazy builds that may or may not be mid-maxed or make sense, but to just let them enjoy the game, enjoy all of the ideas that the devs have come up with and put all of that together and just let it go. What's wrong with that? If you've gotten to the end game, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it is there isn't much going on after you've made your build, except making another build or doing PvP. And that's where builds really count. But again, I'd like to see more going on with the gunplay. I'd like to see more going on with interactions in combat. That's my opinion. This is Real Talk. I'm Khan, TDK, Mr. So Real. I'm out.